Okay, so picture this, the Bridge and Biscotti Club. You can smell the espresso, and the only sound you hear is the soft shuffle of playing cards. Tonight, in two different rooms, two teams are about to get the exact same hand. For one, it's going to be a huge win. For the other, a tough lesson.
And that's the big mystery we're digging into. How in the world can the same set of cards lead to such wildly different results? Well, the answer isn't really in the cards themselves. It's in the secret language the players use to talk to each other.
So, we've got our two teams competing. Now, Team 1 uses a bidding system called 2 over 1. Team 2, on the other hand, uses the Precision Club system. And believe it or not, this difference in systems is right where our story really begins.
All right, before we jump into the action, we need to get on the same page with the lingo. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. There are just 4 key ideas you need to know to unlock this whole story.
First up is 2 over 1, which everyone just calls 2-1. Think of this system like a long, careful conversation. It's all about exploring every single possibility with your partner to make sure you find the perfect contract. It's a system that really values the journey.
And then you've got Precision Club. This is the total opposite. It's built for speed and, well, precision. It has this special opening bid that basically screams from the get-go, I have a monster hand. It's less of a conversation and more like a direct surgical strike.
So here's the best way to think about it. The 2-1 system is like a Swiss Army knife. It's got a tool for pretty much any weird situation you might run into. Precision Club? That's a scalpel. It's unbelievably sharp and exact, but it's also pretty delicate if things don't go perfectly.
On one side, you've got the power player. They open with a Precision 1 club. Now, this is an artificial bid, which means it basically screams across the table, partner, I am huge. Stop whatever you're doing and pay attention to me. The whole goal is to flag that massive strength right away. But on the other side, you've got the descriptive artist. They open 1 no trump in a standard system. This bid paints a super specific picture. I've got 15 to 17 points and my hand is balanced. It's natural, it's clear, and everyone knows what it means.
Okay, so let's break it down by the numbers, because this is where you really see the difference. Precision's 1 club is for any hand with 16 or more points. There's no upper limit. It could be any shape at all. It's all about strength. Standard's 1 no trump, though, is way more specific. It's a tight, fixed range, 15 to 17 points, and it promises a balanced hand. So 1 is all about showing power, and the other is all about describing a picture.
So, how often do these hands actually come up? Well, the stats might surprise you. Turns out you're literally twice as likely to pick up a hand that's perfect for a standard 1 no trump opening than you are to get the behemoth you need for a Precision 1 club. The descriptive bid, it's just for a much more common situation.
All right, let's imagine for a second we're in a perfect world. No opponents jumping in with crazy bids, no interference, just you and your partner having a nice, quiet conversation. So what's the game plan for each system when everything's going smoothly?
With Precision, it's all about speed and purpose. That 1 club opening is like a starting gun. Responder's very first bid immediately sorts their hand. Is it weak, or is it strong enough for game? Right from that second bid, they know they're in a game-forcing auction and the slam hunt is officially on. They can use all that low-level bidding room to pinpoint the perfect contract. Standard, though, completely flips the script. The opener basically lays all their cards on the table with that 1 no trump bid. And because of that, the responder immediately takes over as captain of the auction. They have a perfect picture of opener's hand, so they can use all the familiar tools, stamen, transfers, to steer the ship to the best possible spot, whether that's game, slam, or just a safe part score.
But of course, auctions are rarely peaceful. In the real world, your opponents get a say, and that's when things get, well, interesting.
This right here is where the rubber meets the road. What happens when an opponent decides to just jump right into your auction? This is the ultimate stress test, and it's where you really see what these systems are made of. You see, that Precision 1 club opening is like painting a giant bullseye on your own back. Opponents love to interfere with it. So, to survive, you absolutely have to have a whole toolkit of special countermeasures ready to go. We're talking things like negative doubles, special transfer bids, even something called a forcing pass, where you pass, but it tells your partner they have to bid. It's complicated stuff, and it requires a ton of practice and partnership trust.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The experts will tell you, opponents attack the strong 1 club relentlessly, so good precision pairs must know advanced countermeasures. The takeaway is pretty clear. Playing precision when you're under attack isn't just about following rules.
It's a seriously high-level skill.
Okay, so how does Standard handle the heat? Well, the one no-trump opening is kind of like a fortress. Because the hand is already described so clearly, the defensive playbook is pretty much built in and familiar to almost every bridge player. You've got standard, well-known conventions to handle the interference, which makes the whole system incredibly tough and resilient.
So really, it boils down to this. When there's interference, precision is scrambling to save this fragile, beautiful dream of finding a slam. Any disruption threatens to completely shatter that plan. Standard, on the other hand, is just pragmatic. Its goal is just to weather the storm and find a safe place to land. It's not always flashy, but man, is it reliable.
So, after all that, what have we learned? We've seen these two philosophies in peaceful times and under fire. Let's really boil it down to the final verdict.
Here's the bottom line. It's a classic trade-off. Precision gives you this high-octane, high-risk tool that's incredible for hunting slams, but it's kind of a glass cannon, super powerful, but really vulnerable to disruption. Standard is like your reliable all-terrain vehicle. It's not as flashy, but it is built to handle pretty much anything the opponents throw at you.
The way to think about it is that the Precision 1 club is the anchor for the entire system. Everything is built around that one bid. So when your opponents attack that anchor, the whole structure starts to shake, and that primary mission, finding the perfect slam, is suddenly at risk.
But the Standard 1 no trump, it's not an anchor. It's more like a solid, self-contained building block. It gives your partner a complete, limited picture right away, which empowers them to take charge and navigate through any trouble. That stability makes the whole system just way more robust.
Next is the splinter bid. Now, this is a real showstopper. It's a huge, dramatic jump in the bidding that tells your partner two critical things. One, I love your suit. And two, I have a void, 0 cards in this other suit. We need to be thinking about a slam.
And finally, we have the stolen bid. This one is just brilliant. Imagine you're about to pass a secret note to your partner and an opponent just yells and interrupts you. The stolen bid is like a special signal that says, hey, just ignore them, we're sticking to our plan. It's a genius way to get things back on track.
So picture this. Your partner opens a strong 1 no trump. You're looking at a great hand, and you know exactly the conventional bid you're about to make, and then bam, your opponent jumps in, bidding the very suit you needed to use. Just like that, your system's broken, your plan's in tatters. So seriously, what do you do now?
Right, this is that sinking feeling we have all felt. The auction was humming along perfectly, and then suddenly, some interference bid just throws a giant wrench in the works. Let's really break down what's happening in these moments.
Okay, here's the classic case. Your partner opens 1 NT, you're sitting there with a nice 5-card heart suit, all ready to bid 2 diamonds for a Jacoby transfer. But nope, the opponent on your right pipes up with 2 diamonds first. And just like that, your transfer bid is gone. Your entire line of communication with your partner has just been severed.
You know, this isn't some new problem. This whole cat-and-mouse game has been going on for decades. As soon as players started standardizing cool systems like Stayman and Jacoby back in the 50s and 60s, you better believe their opponents immediately started figuring out ways to mess with them. And that's how aggressive interference became the weapon of choice for defenders everywhere.
So, if your opponents have stolen your bid, well, it's only fair that you get to steal it right back. And that's where this brilliantly simple agreement comes into play. It's called the Stolen Bid Convention.
The whole idea is that you and your partner agree ahead of time that in this one specific situation, a double doesn't mean penalty anymore. Instead, it becomes this artificial coded message. It's your way of telling your partner what you were going to bid if the opponent had just stayed quiet.
And you know, this is why the convention is so popular. It is just so incredibly easy to remember. The entire concept basically fits on a bumper sticker. Your double means the bid they just stole from you. That's it. No complicated rules, just a direct replacement.
Okay, let's walk through that example from before. Partner opens 1 NT, opponent bids 2 diamonds. You're sitting there with your 5 hearts, planning to bid 2 diamonds to transfer, but you can't. So instead, you just double. And your partner, because you have this agreement, knows this isn't for penalty. They get the message loud and clear, partner, I was about to make a Jacoby transfer to hearts. And boom, just like that, you've taken back control of the auction.
All right, this sounds amazing, right? It's a simple little tool that solves a massive problem. But, you know, like any good heist, it comes with a price. There is a very real strategic trade-off you're making when you decide to use this convention.
See, by making your double artificial, you completely give up the ability to make a traditional penalty double.
A stolen bid double is for constructive hands, where you're trying to find your own contract. A penalty double? Well, that's for strong, defensive hands, where you think you can punish the opponents and set their contract. You just can't have it both ways. You have to decide which weapon is more important for you to have in these auctions.
And this is the risk. Your savvy opponents, they're going to check your convention card. And if they see you play stolen bids, they know they can make these light, aggressive overcalls against your 1NT without any fear of a big, costly penalty double. You've basically disarmed one of your own weapons.
The stolen bid is a fantastic, simple tool, it really is, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's really the entry point into a whole world of different systems designed specifically to handle interference. So let's take a quick look at how this simple idea can build into more powerful, advanced structures.
So if you're comfortable with this basic idea of turning a double into a conventional message, let's see what the experts play to get even more precision and an even bigger edge. Okay, this table gives us a great bird's eye view. You can see stolen bid is your 1-star, super simple option. Then you have Lebensol, which is way more complex. It's designed to help you tell partner if your hand is weak, invitational, or game forcing. And up at the top, transfer Lebensol. That combines the best of everything, but wow, it requires some serious memory. Oh, and you'll notice Smolin is on here too. It's super important to remember that Smolin is a tool you use after a successful stamen bid, not for dealing with interference itself.
So, just to boil it all down, stolen bid is your simple direct recovery tool. Lebensol introduces this special 2NT bid that acts as a relay, helping you describe your hand strength and whether you have a stopper in their suit. And transfer Lebensol? That's the expert's choice, layering transfers on top of that structure for maximum precision.
Okay, so theory time is over. Let's head back to the Bridge Biscotti Club and see how this actually plays out in the real world.
Okay, you ready? Let's go to room A. This is where Robert and Tom are playing with that scalpel, the precision club system, and they're about to find out just how tricky it can be when things get messy.
So here's the auction. Robert starts with his textbook strong precision bid. But the other guys, Timmy and Andrew, they aren't having it. Andrew makes this massive jump to 4 diamonds, and bam, he just blows up the auction, leaving Robert and Tom almost no room to talk.
This one bid just changes everything. I mean, it completely hijacks the auction. And this wasn't just some random bid. It was a tactical weapon, and it was designed to create chaos. And you know what? It worked perfectly.
By jumping the bidding all the way up to the 4 level, East basically just shouted over the North-South pair. It left them absolutely no room, no breathing space to have that delicate coded conversation they needed to have to even think about slam. All those subtle questions and signals they needed to send back and forth, yeah, that was now completely impossible.
And you can just feel Tom's frustration here. He's sitting on a phenomenal hand, and he has a void in diamonds, which should be amazing news. He knows the slam might be possible, but the system, his language, has been completely shattered. He's totally flying blind.
So what does he do? He has to pass. They end up making their contract, and they score 480 points. You know, it's a solid score. But that question is just hanging there. Could it have been more?
Now let's step over into room B. George and Mildred are looking at the exact same hands, but they're coming at it with their Swiss Army knife, the 2-1 system.
And just look at this. It's a totally different conversation. It's longer, there's more back and forth. Now, just like in room A, the opponent, Marjorie, she jumps in to cause some chaos. But this time, something very different happens. See that double from Mildred and that jump to 4 diamonds? Those are the game changers.
So, it's the same problem. Marjorie's bid is a roadblock, trying to stop Mildred from sending her message. Remember, in room A, this was where everything fell apart. But for Mildred, it's just an obstacle she's prepared for.
And this is the absolute heart of our 500-point mystery. In this specific situation, double didn't mean what it usually means, like I challenge your contract. No. It was a secret message. It was a prearranged signal that they had in their back pocket for this exact scenario.
See, the pair in room B had this special little tool in their communication toolkit. It was a specific agreement they had made for when someone tried to interfere just like this. You could call it their secret weapon.
It's a convention called the stolen bid. And North's double was basically a signal to South that said, hey, our opponent just made the exact bid that I was about to make to tell you about my hearts, so just ignore them, pretend I bid hearts, and let's keep going. It's like a secret hand signal that lets you stick to the game plan even when there's a ton of noise.
So because of this one simple little agreement they made beforehand, North was able to tell South about their awesome heart suit. And just like that, the entire conversation was back on track. Now they could explore their diamond shortness, check for key cards. They could do everything they needed to without being derailed. And once they sidestepped that problem, she uses another tool, the splinter bid. That jump to 4 diamonds gives George a crystal clear, high-definition picture of her hand. He now knows she has great heart support and no diamonds at all. The guesswork is completely gone. And with that perfect information, bidding the slam is a no-brainer. What's the result? 980 points. That's more than double what they scored in Room A. Same cards, unbelievably different result.
So after it's all over, everyone's sitting around trying to figure out what just happened. How did one hand of cards create such a gigantic point swing?
And I mean, we're not talking about a small difference here. It's a landslide. Over 500 points more for the 2-1 team. The real story is understanding why that happened. George just lays it out perfectly. He says, look, this wasn't luck. It was about having the right tools. The stolen bid got them out of a jam, and the splinter gave him the rest of the puzzle. For him, slam wasn't some wild guess. It was the obvious, logical next step.
And Robert, from the precision team, he completely gets it. He basically says, our system is amazing when everything goes according to plan, but the second an opponent throws a wrench in the gears, the whole thing can just grind to a halt.
But you know, the wisest take of the night came from Marjorie, the opponent who actually stirred up all the trouble. She says it's not really about the system winning. The real magic is having a system that's resilient, one that has a plan for when things go wrong. You know, when you put the two outcomes side by side like this, the difference is it's stark. In Room A, the interference was a conversation killer, but in Room B, they just neatly sidestepped it. The key difference wasn't the skill of the players or the cards in their hands. It was the specific communication tools they had agreed to use ahead of time.
And really, this story is about so much more than just a card game. It's such a powerful lesson in the value of preparation. It shows how having a shared plan for handling interference lets a team stay focused on their goal. And sometimes, the most powerful message you can send your partner is simply, yep, I hear the noise, but we're sticking to the plan.
So it leaves you with the question, right? In our own work, in our own lives, when the pressure's on and all this outside noise threatens to throw us off course, what are our stolen bids? What are those secret hand signals, those prearranged agreements that let us cut through the disruption and communicate what really matters?
Subscribe our channel for more videos.